Okay, we will talk a little bit about the standards today, and I've just got an extract here to refer to, and so you can see what I'm talking about on the screen. You will encounter abbreviations as you start reading, I suppose, technical drawings, and note the term technical drawings. This is what we are trying to create. Although that sort of thing almost came naturally, instantaneously, by the time you finish your drawing in the days when you used to draw by hand, it's not so easy nowadays. You have to know how to get that out. As you can see, you're sitting in front of AutoCAD, and for a start, you're seeing colours. All right, so to get that out in black and white is another story. That we work through that. There are options in your printing options to print it out in black and white. Also, we have not talked about anything about line weights and that sort of thing. You can also assign line weights. Generally, there's a number of ways you can do it, and your book, your workbook that you're working with at this point, I must admit, a little bit disappointed is not updated, because I was hoping to have it updated so it shows that you're able to set up your line weights within your layer command, which is a bit more natural, and a lot of you would have already seen that by just bringing up the layer dialog box. The book actually talks about setting up the line weights in some other hidden system within the plot dialog box, which is a little bit of an old-fashioned way of doing it. But anyhow, I'll help you through that at the time when you come to printing. All right, so if you come across some abbreviations, this is a handy little, and every sort of book, including that one that you have got on your book list, I'm pretty sure has these abbreviation lists in there. And, even if you're not sure, for example, what, where I saw one just before, is it countersunk? I've seen something like that. It shows you what, roughly you'd be able to find it. I mean, generally, if something will begin with an A, it will be in the A section. So you can just look through it. Okay, so there's some abbreviations that you will come across, depending what area you're in. All right, so that's there. Just some general historical data here. I'll just point out here's your annotative scale command, which is in your AutoCAD. This is your Spline command. Okay, this one here, you can make circles and different angles with the set square here, all that sort of stuff. You can use this as an erasing shield. That's flexible curve, again, Spline command. All right, so circles, ellipses, these are all the commands that you have in front of you in AutoCAD. These are your pens. As you can see, there's only 4 pens there. All right, you could buy more, and when I used to draft, I have a whole lot more, and I usually will bring them in at some stage and show you all this sort of stuff that you're seeing on this page in real life. All right, so notice there's only 4 pens, generally because roughly that's what we want to end up with. When you print out a drawing, usually it will be maybe, depending where you're in mechanicals, not so much. The minimum, I think, is 0.25, so there'll be a 0.25, so you probably wouldn't get a 0.18, for example. 0.25, 0.35, 0.5 and 0.7 are the general pens listed, and these are, if you can just read that there, that's what it says there. But why am I telling you all this stuff, really? I mean, who cares? There you go, you can actually read the 0.25 on the pen there, rotating, okay? Yeah, it's a pity this is not in colour, because I think the 0.25 was white, the 3.5 was yellow, the 0.5 was brown, and 0.7 blue, I think. Yeah, that's right. Okay, I'm telling you this because I'm alluding to somewhere. Okay, all right. Okay, because when we convert to from manual to sort of digital, I suppose, we tend to, in any system, we tend to follow that system across. I mean, You can take it from the old address book to the address book you got on your phone. You have the same sort of fields in there you fill in. So we mimic what we do by hand usually. All right. So what happened when there was a conversion between from manual to computer drafting? They said we're gonna have some sort of system to be able to print these things out. So they wanted to visually be able to tell. For example, on your screen, you might have a white shape on there, all right, and it's in white. Okay, it's in white. Well, generally, what they did, they said, well, everything white on my screen shall go to 0.25 because they were used to picking up the white pen to do a 0.25 with, and same with the 0.7, maybe the blue. The yellow, almost certainly in every office, it's been agreed that the yellow shall be 0.35. All right, and the brown, the 0.5, well, that's where they fell apart. Because brown you can't see very well on a black screen, you know. But guess what? They went with green. Why did they go with green? Because color 1 in AutoCAD is red, color 2 is yellow, color 3 is green. That's the third pen along the set. All right, so it has some system of, so that's how it worked. Human brain for you. All right, so, and in fact, in a lot of offices they have 2.25s. They have a red as well, first pen. All right. Okay, so that's a little bit of history when you're looking at stuff. We have moved away from that though now. We don't need to have everything white to be 0.25. We can have a number of different layers that are all white perhaps, but each one can be different thickness. We have the flexibility now to do that in the layer dialog box system, which we are not really introducing in the book, as I said earlier. But anyhow, that's how it all started. And in fact, I was asked a question, why do we normally do grid lines in red? And you will find those later on as you're doing your exercises in the CAD, that we often say the center line, or the grid, it can be grid, it can be center line, they're in red. And I was puzzled about that question until I picked up my pen, which I was demonstrating to the students, and one of them had red ink in it. And I said, yeah, that's right. We used to back then use red. The only color we used on tracing paper, and we used red because when you printed the red one through the old die line machines back then, it wasn't photocopiers or printers, the red color will come out a little bit fainter than the rest, so it was like grayscale almost. All right, so there you go, history for you. All right, so okay, so then we've got this. Something else down here, fonts. Well, it's over there. You could write by hand using this sort of system here, where there's a number of squares there, and if you're doing lowercase or uppercase, interesting though. I don't think you're allowed to write in lowercase according to the standard. Okay, interesting, very interesting. And why not? Good question. All right, and here we have a lettering guide, which is a stencil, another word for it. And that was to, if you want to have more CAD-like writing, I suppose. So I've used all those systems in the past myself. All right, a little slow. You get faster and faster as you're going along with it. All right. So basically, these are our fonts. Okay. So there are systems as to the height of the text and that sort of thing, because there's and the spacing between the lines, and that's because obviously it has to be legible, but also the standard is geared up around some old-fashioned technologies. All right, so the text has to be a certain height and a certain thickness, so that, and certain spacing between the letters and between the lines, because back then technologies came in where you can only have so many sheets of paper hanging in filing cabinets. They had to microfilm them, so they had to make sure when it was sort of photo reduced, I suppose, that it was still legible when they printed it out, because when they printed it out, normally they didn't print it out on a big sheet. It would be just a a smaller sheet like an A3 or something like that. So had to be legible. All right. So that's mainly, that's basically what it's taking into account. Okay. So let's move this along. All right. Over here we have some more information about the spacing. Just click out of that. All right, character height and form. So this talks about the characters, what it should be, and so on. But I have seen, as I said before, it says you have to be uppercase, but I have seen lowercase. All right, and why is it that we can write lowercase now? Well, because we're typing stuff. I mean, I know it's not in the standard. I know I'm pushing the envelope, but I have seen even engineering drawings in lowercase. Why is that? Because we can do it, and we can do it easily, and everybody writes lowercase now. But the fact is, we're typing it and we're printing it. We're not handwriting it. I mean, not everybody's handwriting is that clear. So they said, all right, stuff it. Everyone's going to do uppercase because it's much easier to read. Even, mind you, I've seen some uppercase stuff I can't read, by hand. I have, honestly. So really, there's no real reason now why you can't do lowercase, really, apart from the fact that the standard says you can't do it. All right. Okay, so that's another thing demystified. Where are we? Over here. All right, so what does it say up there? It says titles. This is good reference. Like if you're doing an AO or a B1, which you never would do here, you use that size for the titles and numbers. Or if I stick to what we will be doing over here, 5mm should be your title. Say, this is a TAFE, say engineering, new building, things like that. Subtitles, it'll be like elevation 1 or west elevation will be 3.5, say, and notes are going to be 2.5. Basically that's the numbers you want to be dealing with. All right, so that's your reference there. All right, spacings. Where else have we got here? Just running out of time as well. Over here we got the line types and the spacings that should be. Mind you, AutoCAD gives you automatic line types. All you got to do is just check that they're fitting within this spacing, and generally they do anyway. So you use your LTS command or line type scale, LTS, to adjust the spacings between and the gaps between the dashes in this case. There are some of these line types that do not exist in AutoCAD, like this one here, which is not really a line type. It's just a freehand sort of spline command or polyline command that you'll be using there. And then they also got different thicknesses. So F, for example, is a bit thicker, but it tells you what it's for. It's not for what we're doing here. And here's your section lines. This is how they should be done, it says. Where do you get the thicknesses for them? There is somewhere in this book where you get the thicknesses from for the line types. I think it's the next page. So that's on page 10, if one can get to page 10. Let's have a look. Here we go. So there you go. For you're looking down here in this one here. So a line type A will be 0.5. This one here is H. This one here is H. All right. So if I go back to H, this one here, it says that the thick ones shall be 0.5 and the thin ones shall be 0.25 thick. All right. So that's your reference for when you doing different line types. Is how thick should it be? Okay. I'm looking at G, for example. That G1 shall be 0.25. Generally 0.2535 is an unusual one. 0.35. There you go. 0.5 is A. So this one here. A shall be thick. That one is to indicate visible outlines. There you go. Okay, it's all there. All right, so let's go down a bit, and that's finishing off. We've got a minute to go. There's only one page in that one. Am I right? No, I'm in the wrong one. Sorry. Here we go. Then it shows you here how to do your title blocks and the thicknesses of the borders and and the gaps between the borders and all that sort of stuff. We used to actually do an exercise where you drew your title block as part of your exercise, and you probably would have learned a bit out of that. And where else are we? That's all about that, and that's about it. This is all about the exercise. It tells you here creating layers, what they should be, what thicknesses they should be, perhaps, and what line types to use with them. They're not called single dash in AutoCAD. It will be called the line type center, for example, in AutoCAD. Okay, so, but that's the description, the English description for it. All right, so that's I'll leave it there. Okay.